Charleston church shooter Dylann Roof says that he does not want to sit through all the testimony against him. He's now filed a motion about the prosecution's plan to call as many as 38 witnesses to testify in his sentencing. A jury is deciding whether he should be put to death for killing 9 black people at a church. South Carolina State Senator GERALD MALLOY took the stand to remember his colleague, Clementa Pinckney, who was among those killed. He says that Roof should be forced to listen.
Well, he will have to listen to each and every one because none of those people can speak for themselves. And so their family members deserve the opportunity to tell the story of their family member, of their lost loved one, because they're leaders in their family. They're there at a place, at a Bible study at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday night.
CBS News correspondent Mark Strassmann has been following this case from the very beginning. He joins us now from Charleston. Mark, what can you tell us about Dylann Roof's new motion?
Hey, Rena, the government plans to call as many as 38 witnesses in this victim testimony phase of the trial, the jury will decide whether Dylann Roof gets the life sentence or the death penalty. Roof's motion essentially said yesterday when he filed it that this is too much, that there are too many of these witnesses. He objected to the sheer volume of witnesses and to the length of some of their testimony. And there was a bit of a shift today. Yesterday, the judge seemed to tell him, look, there are this many witnesses because there are a lot of victims to talk about. Today, though, he said out of the presence of the jury, the judge told the government that he was concerned about the number of witnesses and in effect asked him to pare it back, that he was concerned about the fairness to Dylann Roof, that it could be a bit overwhelming, and that the government perhaps could get his point across without calling quite as many and having each of them testify for quite as long.
Mark, we heard Roof say that there's nothing wrong with him psychologically and he doesn't regret anything. And he also didn't ask the jurors to spare his life. So what more do you think we can expect for him throughout this entire sentencing phase?
You know, the short answer is, Arena, not much. He's not going to call any witnesses of his own. He doesn't cross-examine any of the government's witnesses. On occasion, he objects to something prodded by an attorney who's sitting next to him, who's acting sort of as an advisory counsel because Roof, again, wants to represent himself. He will make apparently some sort of a closing statement once all the testimony is over, and that may be the last time that the jury hears from him. Other than the opening statement he gave in this phase and the closing argument that he intends to give in this phase, that's it. That's probably all you're going to hear from Dylann Roof.
And what are the next steps, Mark, for the prosecution and for Roof?
Depends how many witnesses they call. My sense is they're going to pare back the number that they call. We were told today by a spokesperson for the Department of Justice maybe to expect this could go on through the middle of next week, and then we get to the sentencing phase of it. That is, the jury will deliberate, come back with a sentence, and then it could get interesting, Rena, because at that point witnesses will be able to speak to Roof much more directly and tell him, in effect, tell him off if they want to.
Wow.
And that could be some really gripping, searing testimony when they finally get their chance to say, look, it's unbelievable what you've done to us, to our loved ones, and to this community.
I can't even imagine. Mark Strassmann will be covering it all for us. Thank you very much, Mark.